In this video, I'm going to show you the general ways that you can navigate around Podio. One of the complaints I hear most about Podio is that it's confusing. It's not quite intuitive on how to get from one area to the next. So I'm going to walk through how I navigate through the system, and hopefully you can pick up some tips and guidelines for the best way to do it. So first thing about Podio is the workspaces. If you have one workspace, not too much of a deal because you'll be in it all the time. If you have multiple workspaces, you'll want to go from one workspace to another depending on what you're working on. So to do that in Podio, you'll come up over here to the workspace navigation. This is set up this way. You have your company up top and then all your workspaces underneath it. Right now I have two workspaces, the REIFlow workspace and the to-do workspace that I have. There's also this employee network, which is a quasi workspace that just gets created automatically when you have multiple members. Sort of like a little bit of a social network for members. And so to get to a workspace, you can just click on here. One more thing before we leave here is that you can be a member of multiple companies. You can create multiple companies within a Podio account. So you can also find that here. So let's go into the REIFlow CRM workspace. So we click on that and it brings us to the activity dashboard, which is the front page for the entire workspace. It gives you the activity stream, which is basically a log of everything that's happening, as well as a place where you can send messages to people or the entire group in the workspace. Over here on the right are different widgets that are set up. You can customize which widgets are set up. In REIFlow, we have some that are already made for you. So now, the apps. To get to different apps in Podio, they're all located right here. You can just click on them to get from one app to the next. This is the Leads app, Properties, Contacts, and so forth. Now with Podio, if your screen is wide enough, it will show all the apps. If it gets condensed down too much, then it'll pop it over to another line. So this arrow over here, you can click on it and it'll pop down to a second row so you can see all your apps. Otherwise, to save space, you click it again and it pops it back up. So that's how you get from one app to the next. Now, if you're within an app, say we're going to the Leads app, and then you want to go to an item, you can click on the item in the grid, and now you'll be placed within that item. Now there's two ways to go to the next item. You can go back, you can click this X, close out, it goes back to the app's main dashboard where you have your list of leads, and you can click on the next one. Now that's a couple too many clicks. You can also go back to this leads link up here and bring it back to the same dashboard. Podio, as you drill down through an item from your workspace to your app to your item, it creates this breadcrumb so you can find your way back to where you want to go. Now, if you're looking at multiple leads, it's a bit of a pain to have to go back, click on lead, come here. Podio provides you with this little arrow that lets you go to the next app or go to the previous app. I only have two, so I go back and forth. If you had more, you can just keep cycling through all the different items, which is handy, but it's not very, you can't really see it. You have to kind of be looking for it. It's a little bit hidden. So additionally, say we go back to this item, and Podio apps allow you to have relationship fields which link to a different item in a different app. So in REIFlow, we have a relationship field for the properties app, and then you can see that 23 John Court is related to this lead. So we can get to that app or that item quickly by clicking on this relationship item. And it brings us to the properties app and the 23 John Court property item, which is great. This is where Podio gets a little confusing. How do you get back to the lead that was related to this item? There's not a great way to do that. You might try to click the X. Doesn't bring you back to the referring item. It brings you back to the referring item's main app dashboard. So then we have to go back in here, and here's the lead again. One way I got around this, well, not really get around it, but one way to help is use the back button on your browser, and it brings you back to that lead. That works most of the cases. There's a few where it's a little wanky and it doesn't quite work. And one thing I've done with REIFlow is created this navigational links up top of each item, so I can just go back to the lead and it brings me back to that lead, which makes things a little easier. It's a little clearer, and it helps you go back. Because say now I'm in the property lead, now REIFlow has another in the property lead. You can go to the details of that property, and now we're in a third app deep, and this X is not going to work. It'll pop you back to your leads app, pop you back in here. So I still want to look at the property. I think I go back to the property lead, and it goes all over the place. But in REIFlow, if you go to the details record, you have this link to go back to the property, and then if you want to go back to the lead from there, you can click that, and it creates more of a chain for you to follow back and forth. But in Podio, you have to kind of have a lot of clicks. So to review, the best way, if you're not using REIFlow, you're just using your own custom Podio apps, is to use the back button, because it does provide you some way to get back to where you were. You may find that in certain instances it doesn't quite work, but then you can always just clear back out, hit the X, and you'll go back out to the main app that you started in, and then go where you need to go. Additionally, I found that it's a little strange. If you drill down to an item, you can't immediately go back to, like if you want to jump to the contacts app, you can't do that from the items page. You have to drop back out of the item to get the list of apps, and you can go to the contacts app and get there that way. It's just another one of those little things that is not that intuitive with Podio. Sometimes it requires more clicks than you would like, pretty much. If you have any questions, or if you just have any good ideas on better ways to navigate, leave a comment below, and I'd love to talk to you about them. Thank you.